My name is Johannes Dittmann. I'm also involved in the Green Futures project. My project deals with the politics of transboundary conservation in context of the Kavango Zambezi transfrontier conservation area in southern Africa. In short, it's also called KAZA. KAZA is an initiative that aims at the establishment of a transboundary conservation and tourism destination across the boundaries of 5 African countries: Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe and Angola. I focus on the politics of this initiative. Whenever people talk about KAZA, elephants seem to take center stage. The whole discourse of the project is dominated by a strong focus on the conservation. But I want to point to the political challenges and functions of the 5 participating countries. From a political ecology perspective, I am not trying to understand how elephants are being managed in the projects, but how political authority and environmental governance is being negotiated between the different actors involved. From a political ecology perspective, I am trying to understand the governance structure, financial flows and investments of KAZA. What are the political challenges and functions of the project for the 5 participating countries? And what is changing on national level in terms of environmental governance regarding implementation, policy and thinking by integrating the KAZA idea into the national conservation agenda of Namibia. The main funding organization of KAZA is the German Development Bank KfW, which contributed 36 million euros so far in 3 funding phases from 2008 to 2021. Most of these funds were spent on institutional capacity building. This means an abundance of feasibility studies, development plans, strategy papers, maps and other consultancies. This led to a conception of KAZA as being a paper park, because it lacks materialization on the ground. It is not visible in the landscape, as people told me. But this does not mean that the project is insignificant to the present. It has impacts on the transformations in the region today. The establishment of KAZA in the early 2000s served to gain complete ownership over the transboundary conservation idea among the 5 participating countries and consolidate their sovereignty in peripheral regions where it was comparatively low at that time. Today, the prestigious KAZA project serves to reassert state sovereignty and the sovereignty of African environmental policy to oppose the restraints and restrictions by Western donor organizations and animal rights associations. On the national level in Namibia, the KAZA project serves to stabilize the territorial land use claims of the conservation sector by translating the transfrontier conservation paradigm into the national conservation agenda. This means reframing the existing and established conservation programs in Namibia to be very important building bricks of the bigger transboundary idea. By this, KAZA funds that are actually meant to be invested in transboundary conservation projects can be invested in national conservation projects and thereby support the national conservation agenda of Namibia. In terms of methodology, I chose an ethnographic approach doing an internship at the Ministry of Environment and Tourism in Namibia. Thereby I was able to look into the places where KAZA is being made. In conventional studies about development projects, the organizations implementing the projects mostly remain to be a black box. By doing an internship, I was able to open the black box of an organization to really get to an understanding of how the people think who work on a project like KAZA. During fieldwork, it became quite clear that most of the people involved in the KAZA project think that it's a very good idea, but they also think that it's way too ambitious. And most of them do not really believe in it. Yet they use it. And considering the political functions of KAZA, I think that a future vision of a project is not always there to get realized. The aim of the people supporting a vision, I think, is not necessarily to achieve it, but to navigate their interests in the process of aspiring that vision by using it as an instrument in politics. Thereby, a project like KAZA, with a very wide and undifferentiated scope, capacitates conservation actors in southern Africa to aspire many futures that go far beyond the initially intended consequences. Yeah, sure. One day when I was doing the internship in the Ministry of Environment, my boss came to me and said, I have to give a presentation about the importance of wildlife corridors in the KAZA project. And I said, okay, who are the persons attending this conference? And she said, well, there are just a few people from the mining sector and some environmentalists. Then she went away. After 5 minutes, she came to me and was very excited and asked me to come with her to the conference room and to fix some technical issue. There was some technical issue with the laptop. I think the PowerPoint presentation could not be projected to the wall. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll come with you. And I was just an intern, and she didn't told me who the people really are who attend this meeting. And suddenly I was in the conference room of the Ministry of Environment. There were several CEOs of different mining companies, very many high-ranking environmentalists, the Minister for Environment and Tourism and the Minister of Mining, looking at me very expectantly how I will solve this technical issue on the laptop. And I was very excited, of course, and I just did something quick on the laptop. It wasn't really a big issue. And after the meeting, the Minister of Environment came to my boss and said to her, thank you, we won the debate. And he also shook my hand and said, thank you very much for your technical assistance. I chose a perspective that focuses on the political conditions of a project like KAZA. That's why I was mostly involved with experts on high political levels. And I did my research in the capital of Namibia, and I also did my research in the region where the Transfrontier Conservation Project is. But I was not able to talk to the people on the ground living in the Transfrontier Conservation area. So although my focus was on the political negotiations and so on, I would feel better, I think, if I could have included a study about the impacts of the initiative on the people on the ground. This is something I think I know, but I got this information from interviews with local experts and from the documents I could collect in the ministry.